Right, hello. A very short, little quick video. I just wanted to put this in an actual video rather than just leaving it in the comments of the previous video. So, if you saw the previous video, we were talking about the connection in Ipet Go to Donald Trump's ear wound. And in that video, I also showed you the little clip in Back to the Future with the lightning scene that ties back to Donald Trump's ear wound as well. Okay, not only does it tie to 9/11, it ties to Donald Trump's ear wound, and I believe it's going to tie to the 1st of September, maybe, as another date for something big to happen on. Okay, but anyway, I want to just show you why these two scenes between Ipet Go and Back to the Future are connected. Okay. Now, of course, let's put the drawer thing on. Of course, in that other video, we connected back with Jaws. There's obviously a scene in Back to the Future 2 with Jaws 19. And what we saw that, Robert had pointed out that, Dunce here is going to point to both of these things. And we connected back the shape of Florida with Donald Trump's head, with his hairline or his hair, via JL Jurassic Liars old decodes on Florida, and we've got the position maybe of Mar-a-Lago there, which is a reference again to the ear location. Yada yada yada, and we went through some of the connections with the ear, this dude turning sideways with the ear and everything else, right? So the ear was referenced several times in here, and we had the connection to Donald Trump and to Jaws, and the main connection was the release date of Jaws is on the twin day of the year for Donald Trump's ear wound. Okay, so those two dates match up. And not only that, but if we go through and do a jump from when Jaws was actually released, the year as well, through to the ear wound, we came up with the 2054 prime, and 254 obviously connects to 9/11 via the day of the year, and we had this connection obviously with this idiot to 9/11. Now, there was a few other things that I wanted to point out in here, okay, and we will go to Back to the Future scene as well and look at it, because there's a couple of things I wanted to point out with that. So, firstly, yeah, we've got Back to the Future 2 here with the Jaws, but if you note, let's get rid of this stuff a second, this tower that is burning, or house, or whatever you want to call that, note that in the apex of the roof here is this, which could be a reference to, yes, the good old clock, yeah? Okay, and where do we see that? Where do we see it? We see it, oh no, we don't see it there. We see it here, okay, in the clock tower. We'll get onto that other stuff in just a second. Where the lightning strikes the clock tower. So the window that is essentially in the apex of the roof here is the clock itself. Okay, so that is what we may be seeing. Let's get back to the right spot. That is maybe what we're seeing right here. And the flames, again, when the lightning comes down, yeah, and again, this is, a bolt of lightning, fire-breathing dragon, coming down to split the twin towers, yeah, the two sides of reality, yeah, this should be one holistic system, okay, and unfortunately it's been split with 9/11, okay, so we have this connection with the lightning, and this is maybe the clock tower on fire. After the lightning hits, of course, we have the fire, let me see if I can find the scene here. Yeah, so the clock tower, the wire is on fire, the top of this column is on fire here, okay, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And so this whole scene here ties us back into, again, the Donald Trump ear wound. As I've shown before, I will just show it again just in case somebody has clicked onto this video and seen the other videos. Here is the 9. The lightning bolt is the shot, yeah, coming across the street. That connects to 9/11, of course, with this old decode with the fire trails for 9/11. Okay, but also when we look at this, okay, I don't have it in exactly the right spot. Hang on, a little bit too far forward. If I back it up, you'll notice that there's gaps in these fire trails and there's gaps in the wire here as well. And I think it's so that as they pan that camera, okay, as you see the camera panning, I'm just going backwards here. Where we get to is we get to a point where you can make a number 4 here. We've got the number 1 here, and we've got the number 9 here, and it's all part of, you know, this shot coming across and hitting the ear with Donald Trump. And of course, it's on the 194th day of the year that takes place, which is the twin date for Jaws' release. So we're going around in circles here, me trying to explain this. But if we now go back to this scene here, we can see there's some other stuff that ties to Back to the Future. And in particular, I'm looking at the Hanged Man here. Okay? Right? The Hanged Man, because this again occurs in Back to the Future, if Back to the Future 3 this time, okay, in connection with the clock tower. So let me show you that, because I've got it up here. We just went over it. Okay, Marty gets hung, yeah, when they are constructing, this is the clock tower in the background here. Marty is being hung in Back to the Future 3, right at the start of Back to the Future 3. This is when he shows up in the Wild West, okay? So, kind of interesting that that is also connecting back to the clock tower here, yeah? What else do we have here? Yeah, well, I've just shown you the lightning, and we've done that. So this could be the clock tower. This could be Marty being hung. This could be the lightning strike that splits the, you know, that references back to that scene in Back to the Future with the Twin Towers. Yeah. Obviously the dragon, which is also a serpent type dragon. Yeah. Not the traditional European dragon, but more like the Chinese type serpent dragon, which is very much like a snake. We're in the year of the snake. Okay. What else did I want to say here? I think we've done all that. So there was one other thing that I wanted to tie this back to, because of course, if we have 9/11 in here, yeah. So we've got, let's just do a different color for 9/11. So of course we've got the 194 for the ear wound. We've got also the 9/11 in here. Okay, and then not only in this point here, but at the end of the line, this end of the line here connects to not only the 9, but earlier on in this scene, the number 1 on the phallic shaped what am I trying to say? Barber shop sign. Okay. Not only do we have a number 1 here in blue as well, re-emphasized, but we also had it at the start of the scene in reference to this line. Okay, so the beginning, the end of the line. Okay, 9/1. So the other thing that we see in this scene is references to well, I'm going to show you now, to the Olympic Games, which is this right here, this torch burning. When Doc runs down the street, let's see if we can actually get to that as well. Let's get this off here a second. When Doc runs down the street, hang on, I need to just get rid of that so I can, come on. When Doc runs down the street here, actually, need back up just a second. You will notice that as he's running, let's just play a second. not only has he got his fist up in the air, I mean, we could look at that several different ways, but you could also look at it as him carrying the Olympic flame, which is interesting with, you know, the bolt of lightning and the flames, subsequent flames. Okay. So that whole thing where he runs down the street, in fact, it's more when he's first running down the street. Okay. So we have a connection to the Olympics there, a connection to the Olympics here with this, and in particular, what I'm thinking of is, not to mention the time period of this thing set. Well, it's after the Second World War, but let me show you this, to do with the last Olympics before the war started, because they think they cancelled 1940 because of the war going on, of course. So this whole thing with these Olympics right before the Second World War. Well, I say right before, obviously it's a few years before, but again, this whole, I mean, look at this. This is just absolutely nuts, you know. And check out one of the posters for it. Okay, we got the 816 again with Madonna. And what's interesting about this is, again, the 816, okay, so from 81 to 816 was when the Olympics took place, August the 1st to the 16th. The 816 is also part of the pi decode. Let me explain in just a second, but I just wanted to note the temple again on here, you know, reflecting back to the idea of this thing here, okay, the clock tower, okay. So that I thought was interesting, and of course the idea of the flame here, which I just showed you with the column burning, okay, the torch, Doc carrying the torch. Is it a reference back to the Olympic Games of 1936 in Back to the Future here? Okay, possibly. And so let me explain the 816 reference that is to do with pi here, because this ties us with the the Second World War and what could potentially be the Third World War. So let me show you this. Let's put this on again. So the Second World War started on 9/1/1939. So a few years after the Olympics here, but this would have been the final. This would have been the last Olympics before the war started, because they cancelled. Before the war started, yes, and also they cancelled the 1941, I believe, because of the war. Okay, so from the start of World War II, which hopefully is our reference because of, and also Doc as well with the Warner von Braun connection, yeah, that connection to World War II as well with his name, and I believe also the reason why Doc's there, why they changed the name, is because of the war or whatever, somewhere in the film. So anyway, from 9/1, if we take the other reference that's in here, which is pi, if we go 31413 days from this date here, 9/1, the start of World War II, so that takes us WW2, maybe through to 9/1 again this year, 2025, okay, 2025, that is a jump of pi, reflective pi, by the way, okay, 31413, okay, and we have this date here, of course, is a 9/1, which if we reflect 9/1 or 1/9, what you're going to find is the reflection for that is pi. Okay, and this is a reflective pi, a palindromic number, and it's taken us from 9/1/1939 through to 9/1 this year. Okay, and do we have the references to World War II here with the Olympic Games? Super duper interesting. I feel like there was something else I was about to say about this as well. Okay. Oh yeah, that was it. This happens to be just a straight, depending on whether you include the end date or not, it's 86 years. Yeah. 1 day. Yeah. 861 or 168 in reverse. And so the date of the Olympics finishing on, 816. Okay, just read that in reverse or whatever, however you want to do it, but it's the same numbers, numerology. Okay, so there you go. Super duper interesting. Yeah, if you read that number backwards, 16 would be 16 and then 8. Okay, it just depends on how you read a number as to whether you can fudge it to work or not. Okay. Was there anything else I wanted to reference here? So that's it basically. We've got the games, maybe encoding the jump as well with the end date. The end of the line is right here. Yeah, tying this 9/1 here with the symbol of the male symbolism with the 9, which could be female symbolism. Yeah, the ear could reference the vagina. Okay, and this could reference the phallic symbolism. Okay, the phallus. Okay, I feel like that's it. I feel like I've covered everything there. I just thought it was interesting with the tie back to the Olympics there, and of course we had quite a lot of, in this last Olympics Games, we had quite a lot of references, like the Last Supper thing coming to mind, like the last Olympics before a big event. It's looking more and more ominous the more I look at this 9/1 date for sure. But then again, this could all just be referencing back to 9/11, because if you watch the channel, the 9/1 is an end and beginning date in the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, now actually the Fibonacci cycle, and of course, if you want to learn about that kind of stuff, in fact, Numberphile is a great channel to watch. That's where I first saw that sequence. But the thing that clinched it for me was actually the genius of Lambda 115, who actually drew the Fibonacci cycle in a circle, in a cycle, which then gives you a start and a stop reference point, and then you can see that 9 is followed by 1. Okay, and that marks an end and a beginning, just as 9/11 was an end and a beginning. Again, could this 9/1 coming up be an end and beginning date? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. Anyway, yeah, I think I've covered everything there. If I've forgotten something, it'll be in the pin down below. Okay, thanks for watching. All right, bye.